In today's video, I'm refinishing an antique dresser and nightstand I picked up on Facebook Marketplace. They are going to be part of an upcoming room makeover, and I can't wait to show you how this all comes together. This dresser and nightstand was listed for $125. I offered $75 for the dresser only, which the seller accepted and then later asked me if I wanted to have the nightstand as well. I really didn't think I would need it, but we'll see in that makeover how it comes together. Anyways, I love the style of this dresser. The oval shaped mirror with the details on the sides and the little drawers on the top are so adorable. But there are two main things I don't like, and I'm about to change it. One is the stain color. I do want to keep the natural wood and not paint it, but this stain has ambered over time, and this being cherry is a little too red for me. The other thing is the base and the legs. I think this base sticks out way too much on the sides. Kind of reminds me of Daisy Duck in her high heels. I mean, once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? I'm also considering changing the big hardware. Lots to do. Let's get started. One of the most important things to know before refinishing furniture is what it's made of, because how you prep is key to a good result. This was sold as a solid wood dresser, but I knew even before picking it up that it wasn't. Most furniture pieces are not going to be entirely solid wood. They are usually made up of a combination of solid wood and wood veneer on a substrate like ply or particle board. With solid wood, you can sand all you like, but with a wood veneer, you can't. I did do a separate video on how to tell the difference, but let's take a look at this dresser, and hopefully this helps you if you're thinking of refinishing a piece or even buying new furniture. You would know what you're buying. Let's assess the top first. Looking at the back, you can see there's a cross grain of this solid piece of wood. It's attached to a piece of plywood under there. That's the one with the lines going across. So the top is that solid piece. It looks like about 1/2 inch or 3/4 inches, and that is sitting on top of that ply. At the end, there's a piece of molding. You can see that there is also attached to that piece of ply. That molding is also wood. Usually those curved pieces are solid wood because it's very difficult to create that curve with anything other than a solid piece of wood. Now looking at the side here, this is in fact a veneer. If you look really closely, you can see that there's a little line. There is a chip there, so you can see that veneer on top of a thinner piece of wood. So that means with these side panels, we can sand in the same way that we would the top. We have to be a lot more careful because there's like a very thin piece of veneer there, and if we sand it too much, we're going to blow right through it. Okay, let's look at the drawers from the side here. We can see that this is a solid piece of wood and not a wood veneer. This here is the base. This is what the legs are attached to. I am changing the legs, but I do need to keep that base in order to attach new legs. It is solid wood. You can see from the back that cross grain, just like the top. My plan is to cut it down right at that line there, just so it's not jutting out as much. I sanded the corner on the top there. That gives me an idea of how it was finished, how many layers, which is not difficult to sand on the top, but on all those rounded surfaces, and because there's veneer on the side, it's best to use a stripper first to get majority of the finish off and then sand it. I'm using Clean Strip. This is one of the strongest strippers on the market. It is toxic, just like most of the others, including Citrus Strip. So you always want to make sure you're using a respirator, not a dust mask. Wear rubber or nitrile gloves and work in an open open or well ventilated area. I've been trying to use up all these strippers I've had on hand and plan on testing out some of the non-toxic options that are now available. This one does work really fast though. You can start taking the finish off after only 15 minutes. Stripping is never an easy or fun task, so for this project I did break it up over 3 days, working only a couple of hours in the evening when it wasn't as hot. For some reason, the stripper dried up a lot faster on the mirror. Could be the temperature, or I may have left it on a bit longer. I don't remember. But using the after wash with some steel wool and that brush took it off quite easily. I did follow up each area with some mineral spirits and a clean cloth just to remove any remaining residue. This is the dresser and drawers after the stripping process. Like I said, I broke it up into little bite-sized projects, spreading it over days, which also allows for a lot of drying time between each stage. The following day I did the mirror and small drawers and then the nightstand. Now onto the sanding. I used my 5-inch orbital sander on the bigger surfaces and my Festool sander with a Surf Prep sanding sponge on the smaller and all the rounded areas. The solid wood areas like the top and the drawers I used 80, then 120 and finished with 180. For the sides which had the veneer, I only used 180. Like I said, you don't want to be too aggressive with sanding veneer. I did only as much as I needed to remove any remaining finish. All the stripping and sanding is done. I absolutely love the way it looks, but looking at the drawers you can see the mark from the hardware. I thought I'll share this part with you. It's a question that's asked a lot. If this were a veneer on the front, then you would have to try some different potions with oxalic acid to try to minimize it, but since this is a solid wood piece, I am going to sand some more until it's cleared up. Okay, let's get that base altered so we can move on to staining. I removed the legs first, then the base, and took it over to my table saw and just cut it right along that line. Instead of trying to explain the color stain I have in my head, I thought I'll share this inspo from one of my favorites on Instagram. In fact, I love everything about this space, but in particular the mixed wood tones. The lighter floor with the railing and the table works so well because they all have the same brown undertone. Anyways, I'm wanting to do a color similar to that wall unit. I love the moody, rich brown, but I still want to be able to see the wood grain. I think this would lend nicely to the age and style of this dresser, so I'm heading over to Lowe's to see what other options there are that I can compare to what I already have. As you know, I don't ever leave the hardware without making a pit stop at the Oops section just to see if there's anything I can grab from there for future projects. This is Varathane Gel Stain in the color Dark Walnut. I already had this on hand and tested it on those legs. I also put it over the existing color before I started this project just to see if it'll give me the color I wanted without having to strip it, but no, it was awful. I also tried this Minwax Penetrating Stain in the color Mocha. At the store today, I picked up this Poly Shades, which is a stain and poly in one. This is Antique Walnut. I wanted to see how this looked since it was going to save me having to do a top coat. That was a no. I also tried Minwax Special Walnut. That was also a no-go. Today I also picked up this Minwax Gel Stain in the color Walnut, and after waiting for that to completely dry, I think the verdict is in. I'm going to be a mad scientist here. I want to land somewhere between the Varathane Dark Walnut and the Minwax Walnut. So I'm going to mix the two. Now, these are different brands. Not sure how this is going to turn out, but hey, you never know until you try. After playing around with the mixture, I ended up with a 50-50 mix of each, so I am going to get started applying the stain. I always go over everything with a tack cloth right before just to pick up any remaining dust. This is a gel stain and not a penetrating stain, so I don't really need a pre-stain. That is used in order to give it an even finish so it doesn't look blotchy. But I am going to use it anyway. I figured it won't hurt and I would hate for this to turn out blotchy. I already have different wood grains happening, so I want to give it the best shot.
May you always find your way to higher ground. May you always keep your head held up high.
At this point, I was jumping for joy. This is it. It's exactly what I wanted. Love the rich color and absolutely love seeing that wood grain.
Just the sight of you when I'm at my weakest point makes a world of difference, so you make me strong. Pretty little thing, you're a diamond in the rough, shining from within. I can tell that you're tough. Ordering a cup of love, feel it rising up and above. You will always keep my heart and soul strong. Plant your seeds and watch them grow. The light will always know where to go. You will always keep my heart and soul strong. You're the first thing in the morning and the last. Baby, you're my future and you are my past. Pretty little thing, you're a diamond in the rough, shining from within. I can tell that you're tough.
These are the legs. I got these on Amazon. I wanted this turned style leg with little casters. In the pictures they look brass, but in reality they are more like a pewter. So I'm using some rub and buff in antique gold, and then I'm going to install the bowls onto the base and add them.
Ordering a cup of love, feel it rising up and above. You will always keep my heart and soul strong. Plant your seeds and watch them grow. The light will always know where to go. You will always keep my heart and soul strong.
After cleaning up the insides of the drawers, I decided it would finish nicely with some vintage styled wallpaper. I got it on Amazon and really love the added touch this gave. I also got some really darling handles on eBay for only $10. I have to get some more for the nightstand. I actually didn't realize that the whole spacing was smaller on the nightstands, so I'm gonna have to figure that out later. There are no handles on the nightstand at the moment, but these are so gorgeous, but you will have to wait to see that in the reveal, so keep watching. Now all that's left to do is put this back together and clean up the mirror. I always add some finishing wax to the drawer glides so it rolls smoothly. Later I will add a top coat whenever I can. I like giving it time to cure a bit before locking it in. I'm installing similar legs on the nightstand and will add the hardware later. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss seeing this come together in that room makeover.